Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ricky2ra podcast, episode 13. 13 weeks in this, and we're doing quite well. I know I say it at the start of every episode, but this is the most consistent thing that I've probably done throughout probably my whole magic thing, just in general, but it's also, and most importantly, the most thing that I'm having fun at as well. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about performing on stage. So if you didn't know, I'm a close-up magician. Okay, you guys know that I'm a magician, but I'm a close-up magician. So what does that mean? That means, well, it's all in the name. I do magic close-up. So when I get like booked for events or I just do it in general, I like to just be like in front of the person showing the magic right in front of their eyes, okay? And I feel like personally for me that's like the best type of way to show magic, because I love like the reactions. I like interacting with people and things like that. So when I got asked to do a stage show, I've asked to do stage shows on numerous occasions, but I'm going to talk about two specific moments at the same event, a year apart from each other. So when I got asked for this stage show, I came up with a load of things of what to do, what shall I say, because it's completely different to close-up magic, because in close-up magic you can kind of misdirect people, you can do so many things, interact a lot more with your audience because they're all around you, whereas when you're on stage you're just there in a static, like everybody knows that you're just going to be there, like you won't be moving anywhere else, like the hall or the room, you'll just be there. So it kind of challenged me, and this specific stage shows was at Warrington Miller. So I know I've shouted him out on the podcast before, but I've got to shout him out again. Marcus has really helped me, and really, like, Marcus is one of the people that have helped me progress as a person and performer. So I really thank him for that as well, and I think you guys will know that from my previous podcast episodes where I've mentioned him as well. So at the Warrington Miller, this was in 2018 and 2019. That's where I've had like most of my shows. I've had a show previously as well, but maybe that's for like another time to talk about. So this wasn't like my kind of first show, stage show kind of thing, but it was still all quite new to me. So I was still quite nervous as well. And it's kind of like that feeling where it's like, what happens if it goes wrong? Because I'd still do think that in magic, for close-up magic, but in stage magic, because it's so new to me, I kind of like overthink what can go wrong. But in that scenario, the first time round when I got on stage, I kind of like left that all backstage, and when I came on, I kind of just like went with the flow of the audience. And in 2018, for the first Warrington Miller event that I was performing at, it was raining. So normally it takes place outside, but on that occasion it was all moved inside into a hall. So that kind of like lowered the nerves for me a little bit. So there wasn't as many people as the year after there, just because it was inside and the space was kind of tight, but still it was probably one of the most important experiences that I've had in stage show magic. So I kind of like was backstage, get called up on stage, go on stage, and I didn't have like a what do you call it? Headless, a wireless mic. I don't know why the hell I said headless. I didn't have like a wireless mic So I was kind of like using the microphone there. So it kind of like restricted my movement around stage, but I didn't complain. I just wanted to stay in one place and just focus on what I was going to say and what I was going to show. Because your storytelling has to be even more interesting and just kind of like hook all the audience compared to close-up, where you can do like short jokes and like talk to different people, whereas on stage you're talking to a whole audience. So what did I'm just trying to remember what I performed back then, because I did do a stage show before that, and I kind of just upgraded on that. So maybe I switched like a few magic things here and there. I know that I got one lady on stage and she was so excited. Probably one of the most exciting people that I've ever had on stage, because she was just there having a good time, and you could tell like the vibe was good with her anyway, and she was so excited. And I think I remember now, I got her to pick a card, fold it, put it in her mouth. I got a card, signed it, put it in my mouth, and then we like grabbed hands, and then she was just like, I swear down, she was gonna like nearly eat the card. I had to tell her just to bite down on it, and then after a moment, kind of like let go of her hands, took my card out of my mouth, and it was actually her card. And then she was actually shocked, and then she took it out of her mouth, and it was my card. So yeah, she was really good, like a really good like person to bring on stage, and I knew it would like entertain the rest of the audience as well that was watching as well. One thing that I do remember back then was that I did rush it quite a bit, but that's kind of natural for kind of like, I think it was my second stage show ever that I've done. So, and I'm still like learning like stage magic. I'm not like an expert. I think I've only done like what I'm talking about now. I've done them two and one previous one, so I've only done probably like 3 in total. So I'm not like massively into stage shows, but it's something that I want to like get more into. So yeah, I did kind of rush it, but like the magic, you could tell that people liked the magic, and the magic kind of spoke for itself as well, and people knew what were going on. It wasn't like the best show ever, but it was like a starting point where I could like learn from it what went right, what could I improve on as well. So overall, it was just a really good experience, and I learned to, for next time, to like be more calm, talk a bit more slowly, enjoy yourself. Don't be all like tense and stiff on stage. You know, kind of relax, because one thing that I've learned from close-up magic is that if you're nervous, like the person in front of you that is showing magic is going to be even more nervous. So I can only imagine on stage, if you're nervous, the whole audience that's watching will be nervous for you as well. So that was the first time back in 2018, and it was really cool, and I met a lot of people there as well. Shout out to Miss Diva, yeah, really good like dancer, performer as well. She was really kind enough to, and her partner, to give me a lift there and back for 2 years straight. Really nice, down to heart people as well, and really talented. So that was 2018. 2019 was a whole different story. It was actually a sunny day compared to the rainy day, so it was all outside. It was back to normal, and there was a lot more people there as well. And I was wearing my suit. I was wearing that the year before, and I was wearing that particular year as well. Kind of like the bow tie, kind of what I wear just for my close-up events as well. It was nothing different, except this time I was more prepared. I had like a little zip case with like some magic in. Had more props, and you can tell that I'd prepared more than last year, just because last year was something that I didn't know what to expect. But in that second year, it was like I was there, I was ready to roll. And something that I forgot to mention was in the first year at Warrington Mill, I only had one set. But the year after, the one that I'm talking about now, I had two sets on stage. So I had to come up with like two separate magic routines, as you can say, and that was quite challenging. But I had a really good feeling that I could pull this off. And yet again, I was nervous. It was natural, because there was more people as well, and because it was such a sunny day. Everybody was sat down, and they were like, you know, when you like sat down and you're warm, you're like, oh, like, you know, yeah, that's the only way I could like describe it. So when I get called up on stage for my first set, Marcus calls me up, and I was nervous, don't get me wrong, and I did rush it. I'm not going to lie to you, I did rush it. So my first set was okay. I did a few things a bit more quicker than it should have been, and I felt like the audience kind of like knew what were going on. I'm not saying that like it went bad, but it wasn't like amazing. But it was just something that, you know, when I look back on it now, it was like just be a lot more calmer, talk to the audience more, and you know, let them get to know you slowly, storytell a bit more as well. So if I ever do one again, I can even work, like, I'm glad that I did it back then, because now I can look back on that and improve even more, until we get it right. And I'm still going to improve on when I get it right anyway. But yeah, but Marcus kind of knew because he was still on stage with me, and he was like, what did he say? He was like, Ricky, we're not going to let you go just yet. You show us like one more thing. So he kind of like put me on the spot, which was kind of good as well, because it made me think in such a quick time to do something whilst I had a whole audience looking at me. So I did like a mind reading sort of effect as well. And but that first set was just a build up anyway. So like the magic was kind of like just to get the audience interested into what was going to happen into the next set. And the next set, the second set, is probably my best set that I've ever done, like in my whole stage magic shows, as well. Just because the magic kind of spoke for itself, and the storytelling hit perfectly with it. And I'm not going to say what I did, just because the reaction that I got was really good. Really good. It was amazing actually. Everybody kind of like, it was like a gasp moment, but it was kind of like when I looked at the people on stage, when they reacted to that magic, you could tell that that was a hit. And I will reveal that like effect maybe like one another day, but I want to keep that to myself and to the audience that were there that particular day. Or if you ever see me at an event and I perform like an effect, if you guys watch this or listen to this, if I'm at an event in the future and you like see something, you're like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's like the magic that I was talking about. But yeah, it was really like, it was beautiful, like the piece. Not like the magic piece, I don't want you to think that I'm just like going crazy over like the magic. It was how the people on stage kind of like came up first, because they were unsure whether to come up on stage, and then when they did, and when they were like, what's going on, and then when it was like that big climax moment and they were like, yeah, it was really like, it was amazing. And it was one of the best shows back then. And yeah, I was so happy because I don't know, sometimes I don't know how I do it, because I looked going back to the room where I like had my like bag and props and stuff. I came across a what do you call it, like an advertisement board, like just a little one, like probably like an A3 size, stuck onto the whole wall. where it was last year, because it's not that far away from where it actually is in the park. And I just seen like all the acts that were promoted, and I just saw my face there, and it said Ricky2ra, card magician, and it was like my photo of like me and the cards like kind of like in front of my face kind of thing. And it was like, whoa, that was pretty cool, because I didn't even know that. Like, stuff like that is kind of like an added bonus to me, because I don't take notice of that. I like kind of like to do the magic, get all that sorted, and if I do happen to stumble upon something, and I just look and I know like I'm on it, I'm just like surprised. Like, sometimes I think like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not like big, I'm not famous, I'm not like huge, but I just look at it and I think, wow, magic's really taking me somewhere if like my photo's there and I'm performing at like an event. So yeah, that was like a nice touch towards the end when I was walking back into the hall, like to get my rest of my props to finish the day. But yeah, I really appreciate the moments, and I don't really take like it for granted. Like what I have, like some of the skills that I have. But yeah, that kind of like went a bit off topic from Warrington Midler. But the question is, would I do stage shows again? And you've heard it here first. Yes. I'm kind of like want to progress in that area. I'm not going to change too much from the last stage show that I did at Warrington, but I'll add a few things in, and it's always progressing as well. And the close-up magic's like my number one thing. I love close-up magic, but stage magic has totally changed the game for me. And it's, if there's any performers out there, magicians that are like close-up and you're not sure whether to just try it out, I just say try it out, because you're never going to know. And you never know when it can come in handy. Like if you can put it in an event, maybe, and say like, I can do a stage show for your whole audience rather than going like table to table. Maybe that might work out better. Personally, for me, I just want to just do it, just whatever. I'm not like one of them sawing a woman in half kind of stage up magic shows, but I do have like my own style and props that kind of like complement me as a performer, and like very visual magic. That's what I'm trying to say, like very visual, so it's not like I'm doing magic to someone on stage and you're like on your chair just like trying to look at like what's going on. It's kind of like really visual, so even if you are in the back of the room you can see what's going on as well, and that's important for a stage show as well. Let me just see what I've got on my notes if I missed anything out. The emotions, well, let me touch on the emotions again. The emotions that I were going through were just so mixed, because especially the first time when I was performing at Warrington, I had no idea what was going on. Nervous was natural. I was sweating that day as well to go on stage. And kind of once you're there, once you get called out and you just look at the audience and they're just clapping, you maybe give like a bit of a wave, it takes the pressure off, because you know they want to see something really good, and you know if you've put the work in, you know they're gonna like it. If you haven't put the work in and you're kind of sloppy on stage, it will show. But I don't think that's a bad thing personally. Obviously it's bad, like, I wouldn't say bad, but it's kind of like unlucky kind of thing, like when you're there, like obviously it's happened, it didn't go quite well, so it's kind of, yeah, in that sense. But once you like go home, like just chill out, kind of like think like what happened and what went wrong, just come back stronger the next time. That's how I do it. As well, you never know, my next stage show could be really bad, like maybe I might just forget my cards or something, or like get somebody's card wrong or something like that, but it happens, and you know what, we'll come back stronger. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to touch on as well. Nerves are just natural, really, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh, that was the thing that I missed. So on my second time, in my first set, sorry, the one that I rushed in 2019 Warrington, when I had the two sets. In the first set, there was this lady that came on stage quite young, probably say early 20s, and she came on stage, and I did like a magic effect for her, and it was so visual, and it's so cool when you're on stage because you can kind of like hear the reactions of the people on stage, but like the people like in the audience don't really know what the person's saying. And I just remember when I got like the magic effect happened when it hit the climax, and she would like whispered, like she swore basically at me, but like in a good way, and it just really wanted to make me laugh. But obviously I had to like hold it together because I had like a bit more going on after that as well. But it's kind of like the fun things on stage that like the audience don't know about. So that's kind of like another thing, like what I like doing on stage as well, like why I like being there. But yeah, we've hit the 20-minute mark. I think I'm going to wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Episode 13. Shout outs to all the people listening on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, and shout outs to everybody on YouTube as well. Like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and rate this on Apple Podcasts as well. I'll see you guys in episode 14, so make sure you check that one out because that's going to be a pretty special episode. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.